Joshua chapter 13. Now Joshua had grown old and advanced in years. Yahweh said to him, "You are old now, yet much of the land is still unconquered, including all the territory of the Philistines and the Geshurites, all the land from the river east of Egypt to the boundary of Ekron in the north, that is considered Canaanite territory. The 5 chief towns of the Philistines, Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The Avites also in the south. The whole country of the Canaanites from Ara, which the Sidonians hold, to Aphekah at the Amorite border, and then the country of the Gabalites, with all Lebanon eastward from Bagad at the foot of Mount Hermon to the pass of Hamath, all the land of the Sidonians who live in the highlands from Lebanon to Misrephoth Maim westward. I myself will drive them all out before the Israelites. In the meantime, share out the land among the Israelites by drawing lots, as I have commanded you. The time has come to divide this land among the 9 tribes and of the tribe of Manasseh. From the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea westward, you shall give it to them. The Mediterranean will mark their boundary. As for the other half tribe of Manasseh, they and the tribes of Reuben and Gad had already received the land given them by Moses on the east side of the Jordan River. Moses, the servant of Yahweh, had given them the land as far as Aroer, which lies on the edge of the Arnon valley, with the city in the middle of that valley, and all the high flat land from Medeba to Dibon. All the towns of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had reigned in Heshbon, were included as far as the boundary of the Ammonites. Gilead and the territory of the Geshurites and Maacathites, with all the highlands of Hermon, and with the whole of Bashan as far as Salekah. In Bashan, the whole kingdom of Og, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei, and was the last survivor of the Rephaim. Moses had conquered these people and driven them out, but the Israelites did not drive out the Geshurites or the Maacathites, and therefore Geshur and Maacah still live in the midst of Israel to this day. To the tribe of Levi alone no land was given. Yahweh, the God of Israel, was their inheritance, as he had told them. Moses had given the tribe of Reuben a part of the land according to their clans. The land they received stretched from Aroer on the edge of the Arnon valley, including the town within the valley itself, and all the high flat land up to Medeba, and Heshbon, and all the towns on the high flat land, Dibon, Bamoth-Baal, Beth-Baal-Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth Mephar, Kiriathaim, Sibma, and Sereth Shagar in the highlands of Gor, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, Beth Jeshimoth, all these towns, and the whole kingdom of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. He has been defeated by Moses, and with him the princes of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Sur, Hur, and Reba, who had ruled the land for King Sihon, who used to live in this country. As for Balaam, son of Beor, the seer, the Israelites had put him to the sword with others they had killed. Thus the land of the Reubenites stretched to the Jordan River. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Reuben according to their clans, with the towns and their outlying villages. Moses had given the tribe of Gad a part of the land according to their clans: Jazer, all the towns of Gilead, half the country of the Ammonites, as far as Aroer facing Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath Mizpeh and Betonim, and from Mahanaim as far as the territory of Lodebar, and lastly in the Jordan Valley, Beth Haran, Beth Nimrah, Sukkoth, and Saphon, the rest of the kingdom of Sihon, the king of Heshbon. The Jordan River was their western border, as far north as the Sea of Galilee, on the eastern side of the Jordan. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Gad, according to their clans, with the towns and their outlying villages. Moses had given half the tribe of Manasseh a part of the land according to their clans, from Mahanaim right through Bashan, including the whole kingdom of Og, the king of Bashan, and all 60 villages of Jair in Bashan, half of Gilead, as well as Ashtaroth and Edrei, the royal cities of Og in Bashan, were given to half the families from Machir, son of Manasseh. This was how Moses divided the land when he was in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan, east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi, Moses had given no land. Yahweh, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, as he has told them. Joshua chapter 14. The land of Canaan was divided among the Israelites by Eleazar the priest, and by Joshua son of Nun, and by the heads of the families of the tribes of Israel. They divided the land by drawing lots, as Yahweh had commanded through Moses for the 9. Remember that Moses had given the 2.5 tribes beyond the Jordan their own property. To the Levites he had given no land, but the sons of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. The Levites were given no share of the land except certain towns to live in, with pasture lands nearby for their cattle and property. In dividing the land, the Israelites did as Yahweh had commanded Moses to do. When the sons of Judah came to Joshua at Gilgal, Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know what Yahweh said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea, concerning you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of Yahweh, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy on this land, and I made an honest report about it to him. But the men who had gone with me discouraged the people, whereas I myself faithfully obeyed Yahweh my God. That day Moses made this promise to me: because you have obeyed Yahweh my God, the land your foot may walk upon shall be the land which you and your children will own forever. From then till now, Yahweh has kept me alive in accordance with his promise. It is 45 years since Yahweh made this promise to Moses. Israel was then journeying through the wilderness, and now I am 85 years old. Today I am still as strong as the day when Moses sent me out on the raid, for fighting, for going and coming. I am as strong now as then. Give me then the highlands that Yahweh promised me. You know that there are a race of giants called the Anakim, and their towns are great and strong. But if Yahweh is with me, I shall drive them out, as Yahweh said. Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him the city of Hebron as an inheritance. And hence Hebron down to the present day belongs to the descendants of Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, because he obeyed Yahweh, the God of Israel. The name of Hebron in earlier times was Kiriath Arba. Arba had been the greatest man of the Anakim, and the country had rest from war. Joshua chapter 15. The land given to the tribe of Judah, according to their clans, was near the border of Edom from the wilderness of Sin to Kadesh southwestward. Their southern border began at the end of the Dead Sea, went south from the ascent of Akrabim, and crossed through Sin. It went south of Kadesh Barnea, passed Hezron, went up to Adar, and from there turned toward Karka, skirted Asmon, came out at the stream on the border of Egypt, and ended at the Mediterranean. On the east, the border was formed by the Dead Sea as far as the mouth of the Jordan. On the north, the border began at the sea tongue at the mouth of the Jordan. This border went up to Beth Hogla, passed through the north of Beth Araba, and reached the stone of Bohan of Reuben. The border then went up to Debir from Akor Valley and turned toward the circle of stones opposite the ascent of Adumim, south of the valley. The border went on to the waters of En Shemesh and ended at En Rogel. Then it went on up the Ben Hinnom valley on the south side of the hill, where the Jebusite city, that is to say Jerusalem, was located. The border then climbed to the top of the mountain on the west side of Hinnom valley and at the northern end of the plain of Rephaim. From the mountain, the border bent toward the source of the waters of Nephtoah, passed from there toward Mount Ephron, and then turned toward Bala, that is to say Kiriath Jearim. From Bala, the border bent westward to the mountain country of Seir, went on the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is to say Kesalon, went down to Beth Shemesh, and through Timnah reached the north side of Ekron, turned toward Shikeron, passed by the hill of Bala, then on to Jabneel, and ended at the big sea, that is the Mediterranean. The western border was the big sea itself. This was the border that enclosed the lands given to the clans of the tribe of Judah. Caleb, son of Jephunneh, was given part of the territory of Judah, as Yahweh had commanded Joshua to do. Joshua gave him Kiriath Arba, the chief city of the Anakim, which is now Hebron. Caleb drove the descendants of Anak out of it, the clans of Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there he marched up to attack the people living in Debir, the name of which was once Kiriath Sefer. Then Caleb said, "To the man who conquers and captures Kiriath Sefer, I will give my daughter Achsah as wife." Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, conquered the city. Caleb gave him his daughter Achsah in marriage. When she came to her husband, she urged her to ask her father for a field. When she jumped down from her donkey, Caleb asked her, "What do you want?" She answered, "Grant me a favor. Since you have sent me away to the wilderness of the Negev, at least grant me some springs of water." So he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. This was the land given to the tribe of Judah according to their clans. These are the furthermost towns of the tribe of Judah toward the boundary of Edom in the Negev: Kabsil, Eder, Jagur, Kina, Dimon, Adada, Kadesh, Asor, Etnan, Sif, Telem, Bealoth, Hasor Adata, Kerioth Hesron, that is to say Hasor, Amam, Shema, Molada, Hasar-Gada, Heshmon, Beth-Pelet, Hasar-Shual, Beersheba, Bisotia, Bala, Lim, Yesen, Eltodad, Kesel, Horma, Sekla, Madmana, Sansana, Labawoth, Shilim, Entrimon, in all 29 towns with their outlying villages. In the lowlands there were 14 towns with their villages: Eshtaol, Sora, Ashnath, Sano, Enganim, Tapua, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Soko, Aseka, Sharaim, Aditaim, Gedera, Senan, Adashal, Migdalgad, Dilayan, Mizpah, Joktil, Lachish, Bokath, Eglon, Kabon, Lachmas, Chittish, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Nama, Makeda, altogether 16 towns with their villages: Libna, Ether, Ashan, Ifta, Ashna, Nesib, Keilah, Aksib, Maresha, altogether 9 towns with their villages. Ekron with its town and villages near Ashdod. From Ekron to the sea, Ashdod and Gaza with their towns and villages as far as the stream on the border of Egypt and the Mediterranean Sea. In the highlands, Shamir, Jatir, Soko, Dana, Kriyat Sana, which is now Debir, Anab, Eshtemo, Anim, Goshen, Holon, Gilo, 11 towns with their villages: Arab, Duma, Yeshan, Janum, Beth Tapua, Afeka, Humta, Kriyat Arba, which is now Hebron, Seor, 9 towns with their villages: Mayon, Carmel, Sif, Juttah, Jezreel, Jokdeen, Zanova, Kain, Gibeah, Timnah, 10 towns with their villages: Halhul, Bethsur, Gedor, Marath, Bathanoth, Eltekon, 6 towns with their villages: Tekoa, Ephrathah, which is now Bethlehem, Peor, Etam, Kulon, Tatam, Sores, Karem, Galim, Bether, Manach, 11 towns with their villages: Kiryat Baal, which is now Kiryat Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 towns with their villages. In the wilderness, Betharabah, Midin, Sekaka, Nibshan, the city of salt, and Engedi, 6 towns with their villages. But the people of Judah could not drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. The Jebusites lived there side by side with the sons of Judah, as they still do today. Joshua chapter 16. The land given by Lord to the descendants of Joseph stretched from the Jordan opposite Jericho eastward. From Jericho onward, the southern border climbed the highlands into the hill country as far as Bethel. It left Bethel and Luz and went on toward the border of the Arkites and Ataroth. Then it went westward to the sea of the Japhletites as far as the area of Lower Beth Horon. From there it went to Gezer and reached the Mediterranean Sea. The tribes of Manasseh and Ephraim descendants of Joseph, divided this inheritance among themselves. The border of the tribe of Ephraim ran from Ataroth Adda as far as Upper Beth Horon, and it ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Mikmethath was to the north. From there, the border turned east towards Tanath Shiloh and ran beyond it on the east to Janoah. Then it went down from Janoah to Ataroth and Nara, touched Jericho, and ended at the Jordan. From Tappuah, the border went westward to the stream of Kana and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the land given to the tribe of Ephraim according to their clans, as well as the town set apart for the Ephraimites inside the territory of the descendants of Manasseh, all those towns and their villages. The Canaanites living in Gezer were not driven out. They have lived among the Ephraimites to the present day, but are submitted to obligatory works. Joshua chapter 17. A part of the land awarded to Manasseh, who was Joseph's firstborn son, was given to Machir, Manasseh's eldest son and father of Gilead. To him was given, as was fitting for a military hero, the country of Gilead and Bashan. Land was also given to other families descended from Manasseh according to their clans. The families of Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hefer, Shemida. These were the clans of the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph. Zelophehad, son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters, whose names are Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. These daughters went to the priest Eleazar and to Joshua, the son of Nun, and to the leaders, and said, Yahweh commanded Moses to give us some of the land among our brothers as our own. According to Yahweh's command, therefore, they were given land along with their male relatives. In this way, Manasseh received 10 shares besides the country of Gilead and Bashan, which lies across the Jordan, since Manasseh's female descendants received a share in the land as well as his male descendants. The country of Gilead itself belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The border of Manasseh stretched from Asher to Mikmethath, which is opposite Shechem. From there, the border went south to the spring of Tappuah. The land surrounding Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but the town of Tappuah and Manasseh's border belonged to the descendants of Ephraim. The border passed down to the stream south of the river, where the towns set apart for Ephraim from among the towns of Manasseh were situated. The border of Manasseh passed north of the stream and ended at the sea. Ephraim was to the south and Manasseh to the north, and both were bounded on the west by the Mediterranean Sea. They touched Asher to the north and Issachar to the east. Within the territories of Issachar and Asher, Manasseh had Beth-shean and Ibleam with their surrounding towns, as well as Dor and Endor, Tanakh and Megiddo and their surrounding towns, and a third of the Nepheth. But the people of Manasseh could not conquer these towns, and the Canaanites continued to live there. However, when the Israelites became stronger, they forced the Canaanites to work for them, but they never drove them out. The descendants of Joseph spoke to Joshua, Why have you given us only one share of the land when there are so many of us, because Yahweh blessed us? Joshua answered, If your people are so many, go up to the forest and clear out a place for yourselves in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaim, since the highlands of Ephraim are too small for you. The descendants of Joseph answered, The highlands are not enough for us, and in the plain the Canaanites have iron chariots, and so have those in Bethshean and its surrounding towns, and those in the plain of Jezreel. Joshua said to the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, You are a numerous people and very powerful. You will not be left with only this share, for you will go up to the forest and clear it. All the land shall be yours, and you will drive out the Canaanites, despite their iron chariots and great strength. Joshua chapter 18. After they had conquered the land, the whole community of Israel gathered at Shiloh, and the tent of meeting was set up there. Among the Israelites were 7 tribes which had not yet been given their share of the land. Then Joshua said to them, How much longer will you wait before going in and taking possession of the land which Yahweh, the God of your fathers, has given you? Choose 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the whole territory, so that it can be divided. They must divide the land into 7 parts, because those of the tribe of Judah have already their territory to the south, and those of the tribe of Joseph have their territory to the north. You are to survey the land in 7 divisions, and bring your findings to me here, so that I can cast lots for you before Yahweh our God. The Levites have no share in the land with the rest of you. Their share is to serve as priests of Yahweh, and the tribes of Gad and Reuben and of the tribe of Manasseh have received their land beyond the Jordan eastward, as Moses, Yahweh's servant, gave it to them. To those who were to survey the country, Joshua gave this command before they started on their way. Go, survey and map the whole country, and then come back to me. Here in Shiloh, I will consult Yahweh for you by drawing lots. So the men left and went all over the country, making a list of all the towns and how they were to be divided into 7 parts. When they brought it back to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh, he drew lots to consult Yahweh for them, and divided the land among the Israelites according to their clans. The first share of land went to the tribe of Benjamin according to their clans. Their territory lay between that of the tribes of Judah and Joseph. The northern border began at the Jordan, climbed to the northern side of Jericho, rose through the hill country westward, and ended at the wilderness of Beth Aven. From there it continued toward the south side of Luz, which is now called Bethel, then downward to Ataroth Ada, on the mountain south of lower Beth Horon. The border then curved, and on the western side of this mountain turned southward and ended at Kiriath Baal, which is now called Kiriath Jearim, a city of the tribe of Judah. This was the western border. The southern border ran from the edge of Kiriath Jearim toward Gazin and to the spring of Nephtoah. It continued to the foot of the mountain facing the valley of Ben Hinnom at the north end of Rephaim Valley. It then went south through the valley of Hinnom, south of the mountain side of the Jebusites, and reached En Rogel. It then curved northward to En Shemesh, coming out at the circles of stones, facing the ascent of Adumim, then on to Keteph in sight of the Arabah, and down to the Arabah and the stone of Bohan. Bohan was a son of Reuben, and from there passed north to the mountainside overlooking the Jordan Valley. The border ended at the bay of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan. This was the southern border. The Jordan itself was the eastern border. Such was the land given to the tribe of Benjamin, with the borders defining it. The towns of the tribe of Benjamin, according to their clans, were Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emekesis, Beth Araba, Semaraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kepharamoni, Ophni, Geba, 12 towns and their surrounding villages, Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpeh, Kephira, Mosa, Rechem, Irpil, Tarla, Zela, Halef, Jerusalem, Gibeah and Kiriath, 14 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the land given to the tribe of Benjamin according to their clans. Joshua chapter 19. The second share of land went to the tribe of Simeon according to their clans. Their land was encircled by the land of the tribe of Judah, for they had Beersheba, Shema, Molada, Hasar-shuval, Bala, Esem, Etolad, Bethul, Hormah, Siglag, Beth Markaboth, Hasar-susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhen, 13 towns and their surrounding villages, Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 towns and their surrounding villages. Moreover, they were given all the villages lying outside these towns, as far as Balath-beer, Ramah of the Negev. This was the land given to the tribe of Simeon according to their clans. This land was taken from the territory of Judah because their share of these was too large for them. This is why the tribe of Simeon was given land within the territory of the tribe of Judah. The third share of land went to the tribe of Zebulun according to their clans. Their border reached as far as Sarid. From there, the border climbed westward to Marala, touching the Debesheth first, and then the stream east of Jokneam. From Sarid, it went eastward toward the sunrise to the border of Kisloth-Tabor, then to Dobrath and to Japhia. From there it continued eastward to Gath-Hefer and Itakasin. It came out at Rimmon and turned toward Neah. On the north, the border went toward Kenathon and ended at the valley of Iftahel. It included Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Irala, and Bethlehem, 12 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the land received by the tribe of Zebulun according to their clans. These towns and their surrounding villages. The fourth share of land went to the tribe of Issachar according to their clans. Their border reached to Jezreel and included Kesuloth and Shunem, Hapharaim, Shion, Anaharath, Dobrath, Kashion, Yabes, Remeth, and En-Ganim, En-Hada, and Bath-Paseh. Their border touched Tabor and Shahasima and Beth-Shemesh and ended at the Jordan, 16 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the land given to the tribe of Issachar according to their clans, the towns with their surrounding villages. The fifth share of land went to the tribe of Asher according to their clans. Within their territory were Helkath, Ali, Beten, Akshap, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west their border touched Carmel and the stream of Libnath. On the other side it went eastward to Beth Dagon, touching Zebulun and the valley of Iftahel, on the way north to Beth Emek and Neiel. It continued north to Kabul, Abdon, Rehob, Hammon, and Kana, as far as Sidon the Great. The border then turned back toward Ramah, reaching the fortress city of Tyre. From there it turned to Hosa and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. It included Malav, Aksib, Akko, Aphek, Rehob, 22 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the land given to the tribe of Asher according to their clans, these towns with their surrounding villages. The sixth share of land went to the tribe of Naphtali according to their clans. Their border went from Helef and the oak of Sananim to Admi-Negeb to Jabneel as far as Lakum and ended at the Jordan. From there the border ran west to Asnoth-Tabor and went on to Hukkok, touching Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The 45 towns were Siddim, Ser, Hamath, Rakath, Kinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hasor, Kedesh, Edrei, En-Hasor, Eron, Migdalel, Horem, Bethanath, Beth-Shemesh, 19 towns with their surrounding villages. This was the land given to the tribe of Naphtali according to their clans. The seventh share of the land went to the tribe of Dan according to their clans. Within their territory were Sora, Eshtaol, Irshemesh, Sha'alabin, Al-Jalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Elteke, Gibeton, Baalath, Jehud, Bene-Barak, Gathrimon, Mejarkon, and Rakon with the land around Joppa. But the territory of the tribe of Dan was too small for them, and therefore they went up and attacked Leshem and captured it and killed its people. Having seized the town, they settled in it and changed the name of Leshem to Dan, after Dan their ancestor. This was the land of the tribe of Dan, according to their clans, these towns with their surrounding villages. When the Israelites finished distributing the land by drawing lots, they gave Joshua son of Nun a part of the land as his own. At the command of Yahweh, they gave him the town he had asked for, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim. He rebuilt the city and settled there. These are the shares of land which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of each family divided among the tribes of Israel by drawing lots at Shiloh in Yahweh's presence at the door of the tent of meeting, and thus they finished dividing the land. Joshua chapter 20. Yahweh said to Joshua, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, choose the cities of refuge about which I told you through Moses, towns where a person who kills someone accidentally may find safety. They ought to be your refuge from the dead person's relative who is looking for revenge. The man who has killed may run away to one of these towns. He shall appear at the entrance to the town and explain his case to the elders of the place. They shall welcome him and assign him a place to live among them. If the person who wants revenge follows him there, they are not to hand him over, since he has killed his neighbor accidentally and not out of hatred. The man who has killed must remain in that town until he has received a public trial and until the death of the high priest then in office. Only then may the man who has killed go back to his own town and his own house, to the town from which he has escaped. For this purpose they set aside Kadesh in Galilee, in the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the highlands of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, which is now Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. East of the Jordan, in the desert east of Jericho, they chose Bezer in the territory of Reuben, Ramoth Gilead in the territory of Gad, and Golan in Bashan in the territory of Manasseh. These were the towns set aside for all the Israelites and for any foreigner living among them, where anyone who had killed a person accidentally could find safety from the dead person's relative looking for revenge until he had been given a public trial. Joshua chapter 21. The heads of families among the Levites came to Eleazar the priest, and to Joshua son of Nun, and to the heads of families of all the tribes of Israel. At Shiloh in the land of Canaan, they said to them, Yahweh commanded through Moses that we should be given towns to live in, with the pasture land around them for our cattle. In accordance with Yahweh's command, the Israelites gave the Levites certain cities and pasture lands out of their own territories. First among the Levite clan of Kohath, the families descended from Aaron the priest were given 13 towns from the territories of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The other Kohath families received, clan by clan, 10 towns from the territories of Ephraim, Dan, and of the tribe of Manasseh. The clan of Gershon was given 13 towns from the territories of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and of the tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The families of the clan of Merari were given 12 towns from the territories of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. These towns and the pasture lands near them, the Israelites gave to the Levites by drawing lots, as Yahweh had commanded through Moses. These are the towns of Judah and Simeon that Joshua gave to the descendants of Aaron, who were of the Kohathite clan of the Levites, the first to be given some cities. They gave them Kiriath Arba, the chief city of the Anakim, which is now Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, with the pasture lands around it. But the fields and surrounding villages of this town had already been given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his property. To the descendants of Aaron the priest, they gave Hebron, a city of refuge, and the pasture lands near it, also Libnah with its pasture lands, and Jatir, Eshtemoa, Holon, Debir, Ashan, Juttah, and Bethshemesh, each with its pasture lands. 9 towns taken from these 2 tribes. From the territory of Benjamin, 4 towns, Gibeon and Geba with their pasture lands, Anathoth and Almon with theirs. The towns of the priests, the descendants of Aaron, were 13 towns in all, with their pasture lands. Some towns from the territory of Ephraim were given to the other families of the Levite clan of Kohath. The city of refuge, Shechem, with its pasture lands, in the hill country of Ephraim, together with Gezer, Kibsaim, and Beth-horon, each with its pasture lands, 4 towns. From the territory of Dan, Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Aijalon, and Gathrimon, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the territory of half the tribe of Manasseh, they were given 2 towns, Tanakh and Jibleam, with their pasture lands. In all, 10 towns with their pasture lands were given to the families of the clan of Kohath. To the Levite clan of Gershon were given the city of refuge, Golan in Bashan, and also Ashtaroth, each with its pasture lands. 2 towns both from the territory of the half-tribe of Manasseh. From the territory of Issachar, 4 towns, Kishion, Dobrath, Jarmuth, and En-Ganim, each with its pasture lands. From the territory of Asher, 4 towns, Mishal, Abdon, Helkath, and Rehob, each with its pasture lands. From the territory of Naphtali, 3 towns, Kadesh, the city of refuge in Galilee, Hamoth-dor, and Rakath, each with its pasture lands. The Gershonites, according to their clans, were given 13 towns in all with their pasture lands. To the clans of Merari, the rest of the Levites, were given 4 towns with their pasture lands from the territory of Zebulun, Jokneam, Kata, Rimmon, and Nahalal. From the territory of Reuben beyond the Jordan, 4 towns, the city of refuge, Bezer, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mephath, each with its pasture land. From the tribe of Gad, 4 towns, the city of refuge, Ramoth Gilead, Makanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, each with its pasture lands. A total of 12 towns were given to the clan of Merari. The towns thus given to the Levites from the Israelite inheritance were 48 with their pasture lands. All these towns, as well as the pasture lands around them, were given to the Levites. So it was that Yahweh gave the Israelites all the land He had solemnly promised to give their ancestors. They took possession of it and began to live there. Yahweh gave them peace throughout their land, just as He had promised their ancestors. Not one of their enemies was able to stand against them. Yahweh gave them victory over all their enemies and kept all the promises He had made to the people of Israel. Joshua chapter 22. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, You have observed all that Moses, the servant of Yahweh, ordered you, and you have obeyed me constantly. You have never deserted your brothers over this long period of time. At every point, you have obeyed the orders of Yahweh your God. Now that Yahweh your God has granted your brothers the rest He promised them, go back to your tents, to the land given into your possession by Moses, the servant of Yahweh, beyond the Jordan. But take care, above all, to keep the commandments of the law which Moses, the servant of Yahweh, gave you. Love Yahweh your God, follow His paths always, keep His commandments, be faithful to Him, and serve Him with all your heart and all your soul. So Joshua blessed them and sent them away. They went home to their tents. Moses had given territory in Bashan to one half of the tribe of Manasseh. Because of this, Joshua gave land to the other half of Manasseh among their brothers on the west bank of the Jordan. As Joshua sent them home to their tents, he blessed them and said to them, "You are going back to your tents with great wealth, with cattle in plenty, with silver and gold, bronze and iron, and great quantities of clothing. These are the spoils of your enemies that you shared with your brothers." The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh went home again. They left the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan and made their way back to the land of Gilead, the territory which belonged to them, where they had settled in accordance with the order of Yahweh given through Moses. When they came to the circles of stones at the Jordan, which are in Canaanite territory, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built there beside the Jordan an imposing altar of great size. The Israelites were told, "The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built this altar facing the land of Canaan near the circles of stones at the Jordan beyond the territory of the Israelites." At this news, the children of Israel summoned the whole community at Shiloh, ready to make war on them. The Israelites sent the priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, and with him 10 leading men, one leader from each tribe in Israel. Every one of them was head of his family among the clans of Israel. When they came to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, they said to them, "The whole community of Yahweh asks you, what do you mean by this treachery committed against the God of Israel? Why turn aside from Yahweh today, building yourselves an altar? You are sinning against Yahweh himself." Was the sin at Peor not enough, the sin from which we are not cleansed even now, in spite of the plague that ravaged the whole community of Yahweh? You have stopped following Yahweh today, and you have set yourselves in revolt against him today. Tomorrow his anger will be roused against the whole community of Israel. Do you think your land is unclean? Then cross over into the territory of Yahweh, where his holy tent is, and come to live among us. But do not rebel against Yahweh, or set yourselves apart by building an altar to vie with the altar of Yahweh our God. When Achan, son of Sarah, betrayed his trust in the matter of the anathema, did not Yahweh vent his anger on the whole community of Israel? Although he was only one man, did he not have to die for his sin? The Reubenites and Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the heads of the clans of Israel, "Yahweh is the God of gods. Yahweh well knows, and let Israel know it too. Let Yahweh punish us immediately if there has been defiance or treachery on our part against Yahweh. Let Yahweh punish us if we have built an altar to turn away from Yahweh and offer holocaust and oblation and communion sacrifice on it. We made it to prevent what might happen one day when your children say to ours, 'What link have you with Yahweh, the God of Israel? Has not Yahweh set the boundary of the Jordan between us and you, you sons of Reuben and sons of Gad? You have no share in Yahweh.' Thus your children might make us turn aside from Yahweh." So we said to each other, "Let us build this altar, not for holocausts or other sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you, and among our descendants after us, It will prove that we too worship Yahweh with our holocausts, our victims, and our communion sacrifices in His presence, so that your children will never be able to say to ours, "You have no share in Yahweh." For in this case, we should say to them, "Look at this structure, Yahweh's altar, made by our ancestors, not for holocausts or other sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. We have no intention of defying Yahweh or turning away from Him today. We are not building an altar for holocaust or oblations or sacrifices to compete with the altar of Yahweh our God that stands before His tabernacle." When Phinehas the priest and the leaders of the community who were with him heard the answer of the sons of Gad and of Reuben and of Manasseh, they approved of them. Then the priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, said to the sons of Reuben and sons of Gad and sons of Manasseh, "Now we clearly see that Yahweh is among us, because you have not sinned against Him. You have saved the children of Israel from the punishment of Yahweh." The priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, and the leaders left the Reubenites and the Gadites and returned from the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan, and they brought back this answer to the Israelites. The Israelites were pleased to hear this. They gave thanks to God and spoke no more of making war and ravaging the country where the sons of Reuben and of Gad had settled. The Reubenites and the Gadites named the altar Witness, because they said, "It will be a witness between us that Yahweh is God." Joshua chapter 23. A long time after Yahweh gave peace to Israel in all its borders, Joshua, who was now very old and burdened with age, summoned all Israel, their elders, leaders, secretaries, and judges, and he said to them, "I am now very old. You have seen all that Yahweh has done to all these nations for your sake, and how He Himself has fought for you. See, I have distributed to you the territory of all these nations that we destroyed from the Jordan to the Great Sea, as well as those nations that still remain. Yahweh our God will continue driving them back before you, and will deprive them of their lands, that you may take them as Yahweh has promised you. Therefore, be very valiant and have the determination to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, without turning aside from it, either to the right or to the left. Do not intermingle with these nations that are left among you. Do not call upon their gods or swear by their name. Do not serve them or bow before them, but remain united to Yahweh our God, as you have done to this day. For that reason, Yahweh has driven away before you many powerful nations. No one was able to stand before your presence. One of you pursued 1,000, since Yahweh our God fought for you as He had promised. So then, be very careful to love Yahweh your God. But if you separate yourselves from Him and become one with the rest of these nations that still remain among you, if they come to be your relatives and you intermarry with them, know very well that Yahweh shall no longer drive out these nations before you, but they shall be a snare and a trap for you, a scourge on your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this beautiful land Yahweh our God has given you. I am now about to go away of all creatures, so I say to you, know in your soul and in your conscience that all the promises of Yahweh our God have been fulfilled. Not one of them has failed, but just as all these promises of Yahweh in your favor have been fulfilled, so shall Yahweh bring all the evil he has threatened against you until you have been wiped out from this magnificent land he has given you, if you break the covenant that Yahweh our God has given us. If you follow and serve other gods and bow before them, the wrath of Yahweh shall rise against you, and you shall suddenly perish from this fertile land he has given you. Joshua chapter 24. Joshua summoned all the tribes of Israel in Shechem and assembled the elders, leaders, judges, and secretaries. And together they presented themselves before God. Addressing the people, Joshua said to them, Yahweh, the God of Israel, commands me to say to you, your ancestors lived beyond the Euphrates River, Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, serving other gods. But I brought Abraham your father from beyond the Euphrates and led him through the whole land of Canaan. Then I gave him a son Isaac, that he might have numerous descendants. And to Isaac I gave two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau received the mountains of Seir as his inheritance, while Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron to punish Egypt in the way that you know, that you might live. Then I brought your ancestors out of Egypt, and you came to the sea. The Egyptians pursued you with chariots and horses as far as the Red Sea. Then you cried to Yahweh, and he put immense darkness between you and the Egyptians. He made the sea go back on them, and they were drowned. You have witnessed all the things he did in Egypt, and then you lived in the desert for a long time. Then I brought you to the land of the Amorites, who were on the east of the Jordan. You fought them, but it was I who gave them into your hand. You destroyed them, and you seized their lands. Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, declared war on Israel, and commanded Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you. But I would not listen to him. So Balaam blessed you, and I saved you from the hands of Balak. Then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho, and the landlords of Jericho fought against you. The Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites declared war on you, but I gave them to you. The two Amorite kings fled from you because of the swarm of hornets that attacked them, and not because of your sword and bow. I gave you lands which you have not tilled, cities which you did not build, but in which you now live. I gave you vineyards and olive groves which you did not plant, but from which you now eat. So fear Yahweh, and be sincere and faithful in serving Him. Set aside those gods your ancestors worshipped in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Serve only Yahweh. But if you do not want to serve Yahweh, make known this very day whom you shall serve, whether they be the gods your ancestors served in Mesopotamia, or the gods of the Amorites who formerly occupied the land in which you now live. As for me, I and my household will serve Yahweh. The people answered, May God not permit that we ever abandon Yahweh to serve other gods. For it was He who brought us and our ancestors out of Egypt, the house of slavery. It was He who did those great wonders that we have seen. He protected us on the way and through all the land where we passed, driving away before us all the nations, especially the Amorites who lived in this land. So we shall also serve Yahweh. He is our God. Joshua asked the people, "Will you be able to serve Yahweh? He is a holy God, a jealous God who does not tolerate wickedness or faults. If you abandon Yahweh to serve other gods, He will turn against you, and just as He has done you so much good, so shall He punish you and destroy you." The people replied, "No, may it not be as you say. We will serve Yahweh." Joshua said, "You yourselves are witnesses that you have chosen Yahweh to serve Him." They answered, "We are witnesses." Joshua then said, "Remove now from your midst any other gods and serve Yahweh, the God of Israel, with all your heart." The people answered, "We will serve Yahweh our God and obey His commands." On that day at Shechem, Joshua made a covenant with the people and fixed laws and ordinances. He also wrote down everything expressed in the book of the law of God. He chose a great stone and put it under the oak tree in the sacred place of Yahweh. Then Joshua said to the people, "This stone shall be a witness to all that Yahweh said to us. For it heard all these words, it shall be a witness against you, lest you deal falsely with Yahweh." Joshua immediately sent the people away, and everyone returned to his land. After all these deeds, Joshua, son of Nun and servant of Yahweh, died at the age of 110. They buried him in his land at Timnath Serah in the hill country of Ephraim to the north of Mount Gaash. Israel served Yahweh throughout the whole life of Joshua and of the elders who outlived Joshua and who had witnessed all the wonders Yahweh did for Israel. The Israelites brought from Egypt the bones of Joseph. They buried them at Shechem in a place in the field which Jacob bought from the children of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. This became the possession of the children of Joseph. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, also died, and they buried him on the hill given to his son Phinehas on the mountains of Ephraim.